real hard plan. But that's the other excuse. Like I say, people just keep making excuses for not paying the debt back. You know what I'm saying? There's like, oh well, I have a good job, but it's not quite good enough. Because I can't afford my iPod and my new car and pay back my debt. So there's a lot of people playing that game. Like I'm entitled to a new car, and I'm entitled to an iPad, and I'm entitled to this other shit, even though they got this debt they haven't paid back. And it's like it's just like the federal government. It's like it's never convenient to pay the bills. It's always inconvenient.
Yeah, and a good time to take out debt, like self-manifesto. If you're working a job, $10 an hour, and you go get this journalism degree that's going to come out and you'll make $30 an hour, then yeah, by all means, that's a good time to go into debt, because it'd be a waste of time to work at $10 an hour when you could pay it back at $30 an hour. But most people don't do that. They, fuck it up because there's nothing to keep them in line. Nothing to, instead of giving this money to students, they should just probably give them tuition credits. That way they can't go screw it up. But anyways, I don't know. When it comes to education, like a lot of it's free anyway on the internet, and it kind of, when you're getting a specialized skill, I guess you should pay for that because that's very employment specific. But with journalism, I really think there is still a market out there for journalism. People still need to get the news. The internet hasn't stopped new ways of develop. There's still a shortage of good news out there. Look at Al Jazeera English. They came out, hit the scene, and had fantastic coverage of stuff happening all over the world. So you can still make a career in news. It just doesn't have to be a newspaper.
Oh yeah, Al Jazeera, by the way, Al Jazeera is one of the best news sources out there. And me personally, I'm trying to diversify. I want to actually get a job for an online-based company because, I see that as the future of journalism. I see print media is, there will always be a market for it. Well, maybe not always, but at least in the near-term future, there'll always be some market for it. But it's dwindling, and it's going to keep dwindling because, who here has read has actually bought a newspaper in like the last month? I would venture to guess not many. An actual like print newspaper. But and by the way, the funny thing about what you said before is that like one of the things that makes it suck so bad about the degree is that when you said you could work for $10 an hour or get the degree and get $30. The funny thing is that what I'm making is a hell of a lot closer to $10 an hour after the degree. before I got my degree, I was working for like $7 an hour, and now I'm working for like $12.50. So that's with benefits, it's a decent job. It's just it's gonna be hard to pay off those loans. I'm really gonna have to crunch, and I'm willing to do it. It's just it's gonna suck for quite a while.
But let's talk about in terms of what are skilled jobs versus unskilled and all this other stuff. If you have a degree in theater or something, or ballet science or whatever, that's going nowhere. But you have to concede that a journalism degree at least has value because that can be used in marketing, and that can be used. You know what I mean? It has application. Literacy and eloquent verbiage has use in a lot of different ways. You know what I'm saying? You can be a journalist for something. So you can be a propagandist. You can be a, you know what I'm saying? The skills are migratable to other places where you can be in communications, generally speaking, and you can be into a lot of other things, but not necessarily journalism. So I'm just saying it's not a dead degree. It has some value because it gives you raw literary skills that are valuable, in my opinion. So to me, it's not a dead, but yeah, journalism is really competitive now because you got a lot of amateurs that are doing it. So, the minimum wage has got to fall just because there's, and Al Jazeera is a sort of good example because I wouldn't even want to be a journalist for them because they're kind of disposable, you know what I mean? They go to like the war. And they want a camera when people are shooting bullets and shit. I don't want that fucking job. What, I gotta hide behind this garbage can and film this shit? No thank you. Fuck this. I don't even want to be over there, let alone be where they're shooting each other.
Yeah, the thing that basically feels, well, I mean, not so much me, as much as like other people that I work with, the older people. One thing that sort of fills them with fear and makes them uneasy about their job is just that, I mean, for instance, if you look at the blogosphere, um, if you're a good writer and you have good research skills, you're just as good as anyone else. There are so many tools out there, so many ways to get access to stories that you could never get access to before, back when print media completely dominated all markets. Um, so basically, if I was just some guy who just happened to have good writing skills and good researching skills, I could go out there. I don't even have to actually go anywhere. I could just dredge up some information off the internet. And I mean, I know you could do that before with archives and libraries and all this sort of thing, but I could just aggregate previously recorded materials and come together. And if I'm compelling, I can compete with pretty much anybody. Maybe not for market share, but at least for readership, or at least for credibility. I mean, because me personally, I don't when I go looking for news, I don't read the big names. I go to sort of alternative media websites, and because I mean, honestly, they are the ones who are digging up the real news. I mean, that's just my opinion.
But they're not making the real money either, though. But it's the point. So I mean, that's all I'm arguing is that the money's not there anymore. So it's like theater or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can be an actor, but really it's a lottery. You got to get the Hollywood ticket to make the big bucks. You know, you're not gonna make the big bucks in theater, even though theater might have more credibility. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it might be a better actor, more capable, but it's a celebrity game. It's a lottery game. So journalism's sort of been taken. It's sort of falling into that pattern. I mean, look at the news. Look at even the news broadcasters. I mean, they've gotten sillier and sillier, and you know what I'm saying. There's no Walter Cronkites out there anymore. I mean, even Dan Rather isn't Dan Rather. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a different fucking world. It's just shit talkers, and there's no, you know, there's no
It's
skill
Glenn
set
Beck
to
and
that.
Rachel Maddow.
Well, I'm just saying, there's no skill set really. Realistically, there's no. It's sort of like acting, like when they invented video, acting changed because it used in the old days, film cost a fortune. So I mean, you had to be a good actor because they couldn't afford the film. You know what I mean? They couldn't do like 500 takes. You know what I mean? It wasn't like free. But then film got really cheap, and so then actors could get really shitty because you just did it over again. You did it over again. You did it over again until they got it right. And so you didn't have to have the same. You didn't have to go in there with an ability to memorize and do all this. So actors today, they got to memorize 3 sentences, and then they can just do some editing and they can fix everything they fuck up.
Yeah, I'll be back in a second.
I just wanted to add that there are plenty of ways of making money out there. I mean, you have to look at how you are an individual in society in order to find those ways.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, there's lots of ways not to make money. Most people are, not making a lot of money. Most people are making the $12 an hour, okay? And it's very few people that get to make the big money. I mean, let's look at the real numbers, okay? The real numbers get, they're spooky scary in terms of how much of the money is going to how small a percentage of the people.
I find it amazing if you open up a newspaper to look at the way money is talked about. It's like they've got the top 100 earners in the state, and it's got all their pictures and their bios, and it's like there's no criticism of that. It's just it's almost being idolized. And then they've got another column about how business taxes are 5 times higher than residential taxes, and nobody even mentions, well, how much money are the houses making by sitting there? I mean, come on, of course businesses pay more. They're making more money. And this whole worship of money kind of goes unquestioned. Nobody says, hey, how's it distributed? It's all just everybody hopes they're going to be the rich one.
Well, and it's such a joke too in a lot of ways because it's like there's a big restaurant in this town, and it pays the same sewage rates